Greetings everyone, how are we doing and welcome to the show. I am obviously Captain Jack, welcome back to Trek Central. It's been ages since we've streamed here on the channel. I am joined by my fantastic co-host, Mr. Dom. Dom, how you doing?
Fantastic, thank you. And I'm joined by the fantastic host of you. So
I know, we are the dynamic duo, we're back.
To be back. And I think Jill in chat said Dom and Jack together again, jackpot.
I saw that, I was about to say, it's like, it's been ages since we've streamed here together and people are like, they're back. It's like, they're back, adding greater numbers.
We've got a lot of stuff to talk about, so
it's been ages. Like, it's been ages since we've streamed here together on the channel. It's been ages since we've done a stream on Trek Central. So I was actually thinking when people were in the chat there saying like, oh, it's been ages since we've seen him. I was like, me and you doing a podcast would be a hilarious idea. It's like weekly podcast. We just get a cup of tea and talk about Star Trek and upload
I would say
it.
More alcohol, but
okay, but well, you know, instead of going out on Thursday nights, Jack will instead drink and talk Star Trek. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Probably be cheaper, to be fair. I'd be for it. Like, all right, everyone, thank you for joining the stream. If you can comment anything in the chat, if the audio's working fine, that'd be great. It's been ages since we used a setup, so it doesn't work. Let me know, and we'll fix it. But without further ado, we're joined by two fantastic special guests this evening. We have Mr. Starfleet Boy himself. Hello, how you doing?
Hey, pretty good. Thanks for having me.
It's been a wonder to have you back here again, so I'm glad we could chat up. And also, we do have Robbie, aka Earl Grey Trekkie, as well. Robbie, how you doing?
I'm good, thank you for having me on.
Fantastic. Gentlemen, I think we're discussing everything Star Trek today, as usual as well. I'm excited, to be fair, because we've, like Dom said, we've got a ton of stuff to actually get through.
Yes.
We're going to be...
I haven't talked about on this on the live stream, so we can delve back a little bit, but obviously we'll talk about all the new stuff from the Discovery mid-season finale to the return of Prodigy. So we've got some good Trek to discuss.
One thing which I feel is current events, not only with myself but also the wider Star Trek community, is obviously Star Trek Picard's production was shut down due to COVID in the last week, wasn't it?
Yes.
Look, I got COVID, and so did the whole crew of Picard, apparently. Not saying I'm an insider on the show or anything, but...
Yeah, it was really surprising that I think it was 50 people, including some of the cast, had caught COVID. Luckily, Patrick Stewart hadn't. But it's still a shame, and I hope they're all fine and recover well. And they shouldn't push themselves too far to give us Trek, because we do enjoy it, but we want them to be healthy first and foremost.
Hear, hear.
Exactly. I was like, reading that announcement, I was like, wow, okay, that's a pretty large production getting shut down because of that. It's, yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, wasn't it? I think I heard the number of like 250 people working at that
Something
time.
like that, yeah. I would imagine like most of the key stars to be. I'm not sure what stage of filming Picard Season 3 is in, whether it's still in the first half or second half. I've not kept up to date with it. I know you and TJ have. Myself, not so sure on it though, so
they are still filming, and obviously the biggest leaker of Star Trek Picard being the showrunner himself, Terry Matalas. His tweets, I guess, give us some insight into where they're at. So I
feel like we should talk about this a minute. Let's I know we're meant to be discussing Prodigy and Discovery, but as with any Trek Central production, we'll go on a hiatus of talking about something else, much like Discovery. The whole ship tease of Picard Season 3, I guess, yeah, Season 3, of this new Federation starship, which looks seemingly very, very classic Star Trek, as in like TNG-esque, and obviously DS9-esque, but it's got the saucer section, apparently it might have 4 nacelles, it could be a new Stargazer. Starfleet Boy, I've seen you interacting with these tweets. What do you think of it?
I have no idea. I have no idea what it's going to be, but I saw a more recent tweet that at the beginning of maybe Season 2 or Season 3, Sean, I can't pronounce his last name, but the guy who designed the Titan.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it Sean Tongu? Is that how you pronounce it? I'm not sure.
I don't know how to pronounce it.
I suck at pronunciations. Dom remembers the scandals I've got myself involved with over the years.
But yes, he is the Titan designer.
So he's involved, and obviously he couldn't say what it was, but I was just like freaking out because like he's a pretty good designer. I like his aesthetic, and so maybe he's involved with this new ship or something. And then I saw that picture, Jack, and it does look a little like an updated Stargazer. It also looks like the Buran from Discovery, right? Yeah, it's kind of an interesting design. I don't know, but it's all garbly illustration, so I don't know. I don't know what you can really make of it.
It's I don't know. What do you guys think? Obviously, if Sean's involved with design of the Titan, do you think, now this would be a long shot here, the Enterprise, I mean the Titan could probably show up. I was about to do a double take there for a second.
I know the Enterprise, yes. Also, we want to see it, but yeah, that's what I totally thought was like. Could be an indicator that we'll see it. We'll see the Titan in live action. It might be an indicator of that.
Which would be something, but also, personally, even though it'd be great if Riker was captain, I would like someone else to be captain of the Titan.
What about
Riker has passed on the torch?
What about the lady from the books? Is it Christina Vale? Is that her name? It's
Christina
been ages.
Vale. Yes.
If she was captain,
Christine Vale. Yes.
If she was captain at this point, it would make sense as Riker is the admiral, because in the I'll call them Legends books or extended Star Trek canon books for lack of a better term. They are, it was Litverse, sorry, isn't it? Yeah. Riker eventually became admiral of a frontier zone, so therefore the Titan was his flagship, but he wasn't the captain anymore. That's something interesting to note. Therefore, they could play it out. That's why he's a retired admiral in Picard season 1, and why I can come back as it. Look, I can fill lore gaps in here. I'll work as a producer. Come on now.
Okay. A really interesting thing I just saw in chat was that Jack Quaid returns as Clone Boimler for captain of the USS Titan, which would be actually hilarious. That the first live-action Boimler we get is his clone Thomas Boimler. It is Thomas. Wait, was it Thomas Boimler? Was it?
I think he chose Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Thomas Boimler. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that would be a great way to tie it in, but also very in keeping with the Lower Decks theme of our Boimler getting passed up for big promotions.
That would be hilarious.
So that is a really good idea from the chat. So thank you.
Just a quick one. If anyone has any questions for myself and the crew here tonight, or anything about you'd like us to talk about, you can of course submit them in the chat and we'll answer them sort of halfway through the stream towards the end of it. However, if you do want to support the Trek Central YouTube channel and everything we do with the TC brand, Trek Central, TC, I know that word's thrown around much, you can of course become a YouTube member. We've got a little counter down the bottom of the screen now, and it's lovely 4-person setup. I managed to dig out of mothballs today for this one. And if you want to become a YouTube member, you get some perks on the channel, including some custom little emojis and a badge next to your name, and you support us amazing brackets fantastic people here on the channel, so of course it's greatly appreciated. But yes, Robbie, what are your thoughts on the whole sort of Picard tease at the minute with the new ship and some stuff we've heard? What are you thinking about it lately? Yeah, and everything. Yeah. Anything comes to mind you want to talk about?
I've just been loving it because Terry Matalas has been posting so many pictures of like that era of LCARs that I absolutely love.
Ooh, yes.
And it's like a puzzle. You're just trying to figure out, okay, what is this ship? And it seems like the Q's involved, so it's like what on earth could be going on? And I think there's a picture of like an armory not long ago that he posted.
Yeah.
And it gave me First Contact vibes of that armory. Like the phasers looked very similar, and it just looked fantastic. And then even like he posted a replicator.
Yes, and that was a really early one.
Yeah, everything just looks so gorgeous on that show, and it looks so much glorious fan service.
Definitely. With your point of like the phaser rifles, what reminds me of that is Star Trek Nemesis, where he goes all hands, battle stations, and you get a little montage of the ship preparing, and they sort of the phaser racks deploy. It sort of reminded me of that in a sense, when you've gone to battle stations and you've got all the personnel being handled via phaser rifles and like marching around the ship and stuff like that. I loved that. That was really cool. So I'm hoping maybe we get a similar scene. Like that'd be really cool. I don't know. Fun.
Though it is great with all the small details from the fact that we do have a lot of Trek veterans coming back for graphic design and stuff like that.
The Hiatus back, aren't they?
Back. I'm trying to remember some of the other names, but a lot of like graphic designers, set designers have come back for Picard season 2 and 3. So I'm very much looking for even the finer details. Like if you do look at the replicator, as Robbie said, with the details, you can see that it talks about the, I think, molecular complexity of the ingredients, and that just makes my head.
Makes you wonder. Like I'm drinking.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm drinking Earl Grey tea at the minute. What the hell's in this?
Yeah, but how complicated it takes to make the food. Obviously, like tea is probably less complicated than a Sunday roast, for example, to replicate. So it's nice little details like that which just make the world more fleshed out. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to their work.
Thank you to Patrick Patterson there for a quick little donation with a lovely sticker there. After you start off, before I say something else, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it's also lovely to see that like we're getting the people who made a career of Star Trek like coming back and helping these new folks make their career. Like hopefully, you know, because Star Trek's totally here to stay for a long time. So they're getting like 20, 30 years of, you know, work out of it. And so it is cool to see that like, you know, these kind of veterans are coming back and helping like the newbies kind of like, you know, learn the aesthetic and build on it, you know, and stuff like that.
And a good point on that is that Dave Blass, who does the production design for Picard, he's very much gone online and posted some nice concept art which we've never seen before from Picard.
Yeah.
But there was a interview with Doug Drexler, John Eves, the Akudas, and a bunch of other Trek people, and they were talking about how much they enjoyed working with him because he's very much a massive fan, and he's getting these details and these legacy designers and people who've worked on Trek being like, this person gets it. Yeah. I'm so glad they get it.
That is also where they tease LeVar was apparently on set. LeVar Burton. That is, they tease that on there. Which is tell you what, one thing by the way.
I have to say that, you know, he did appear on set in season 1 to be like, hey, I'm going to talk to my friend. So it doesn't mean that he'll appear in later seasons, but there is more there that we might see.
Patrick Patterson, thank you for becoming a member and supporting the channel. We greatly appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. Feel free to show off those custom emojis, by the way, because I'd love to see more of them in chats. We've rarely seen them. One person actually say, speaking of people who've like, you know, worked on Trek in the past and could work on in the future, one person who I'd love to see work on Trek again is Naveen Shakar, who is currently the showrunner of The Expanse. He worked on Star Trek DS9, Voyage, and Next Generation as a writer and behind-the-scenes person, I believe. Now, obviously, The Expanse has been super successful, even though Amazon are stopping it, apparently. But I would love to see, apparently. We'll just watch my Twitter feed blow up in the next couple of months of that revolution. The Expanse is awesome. If you've not watched it yet, go watch it. I'm not paid by Amazon, but go and watch it.
One more episode to come out before it finishes.
Long live Laconia. Right, anyway. So I'd love to see him actually work on Star Trek again, because the way The Expanse has been crafted with its storytelling, obviously the writing couples into it, but a showrunner is very key to the show as well. I would love to see what he could do with Star Trek now that he's like really experienced in all of this stuff like that. I'd love to see what he could do with it, really.
Definitely.
I agree.
Gentlemen.
I think he might bring some interesting ideas into Star Trek. Back to Star Trek, I should say.
Essentially, yeah. So, gents, let's talk about Star Trek Discovery Season 4. We'll move on to Star Trek Prodigy towards the end of the stream, because it's a current show, and we've got lots of theories on that, especially with the latest revelation in Prodigy. However, let's talk about Discovery Season 4. Obviously, on this mid-season break now, Discovery does not come back until February 10th. This is because Star Trek Prodigy is airing. Likely this is going to push Picard further back as well. We'll have some videos and theories on that later today. Anyway, Discovery has left us on this cliffhanger sort of sense. Robbie, I presume you've seen the latest episode of Discovery Season 4?
Technically, I've not seen the latest season of... I know it's horrible. I've not seen the latest season of Discovery, but it's just because I've been rewatching DS9 so that my mum finished DS9 before we watched Discovery together. But I can't wait to see Discovery Season 4.
Fair enough. That's the reason I asked that. We'll curtail around certain spoilers in that case. Anyway.
I don't mind.
Oh, okay, in that case.
Okay,
before we jump... full spoiler. Quickly, blow the lid. Starfleet, bro, I'll dodge that question to yourself. The cliffhanger. What do you think about that? Are we all... Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, super wow moment for me. I was really impressed I'm really impressed with this season of Discovery. I think it's my favorite of the Discovery season so far, and that little cliffhanger, and you know, just the book going off with Tarka, and like just like Burnham like literally says "oh shit" as she's transported. Like, it's just so, the drama was so good. But aside from that, just like I think they've really done a great job, Discovery, this season of setting up like this landscape of post-burn life, you know, like I really feel like it's real, like and you know, I believe all the struggles, and like and I'm, you know, vying for the Federation, and like that last episode was delightful. It was great to see Earth back. That was like one of the best things, like just all the other delegates, but Earth especially. I was like glad, okay, they're introducing Earth into the mix, because I want to see how that, you know, evolves. And aside from that, just like the acting this season is superb. I think these guys have like fully found their voice for these characters, and they're like giving it their all. Like I just, there's so many moments this season that are just like amazing.
Season 4 as a whole has been like a massive step up in production and writing. For me personally, to be critical of it, it's not completely there yet in my opinion. However, it's definitely stepped up. Like I've immediately forgotten it now. The one, don't please remind me which one it is, where Zora is singing to the captain.
Stormy Weather.
Thank you.
Stormy Weather.
That episode, the writing, but also the sort of cinematography of it was absolutely beautiful. Like I love that. It's definitely up there with one of my all-time favorite Star Trek episodes overall right now.
And that was a Jonathan Frakes episode.
And I believe who was the writer again for it?
Anne Kofel-Saunders
Exactly.
and Brandon Schultz.
Now, Anne Kofel-Sanders, her writing is fantastic, and so is Brandon Schultz on that as well. Like, she's written for Discovery Season 3. Has she written 2 as well, or?
No, only 3.
Only 3,
she
yeah.
wrote Scavengers in Season 3.
Am I thinking it's the same person who wrote on Battlestar Galactica?
Yes.
Yes, it is. That's why I recognise the name from.
we talked about that. Yeah.
BSG, the remastered version being one of my favourite all-time series as well, so it makes sense. I'd love that, and also BSG's music is on point, so it makes sense. Or I might get a bit of a musical element with the Discovery episode as well. But speaking about the cliffhanger of Discovery Season 4, wow. I did not see that coming. I like it when writing subverts my expectations, because I find lately, because I do this job of analysing media and stuff like this, I feel like I can predict a lot of sci-fi shows and video games from a mile away, and it sucks. Like, I've played video games recently, it's like Anthem and Destiny, where I'm like, cool, he turned to a bad guy. Who could have seen that coming? But with, like, Discovery, I'm happy to say the mid-season thing circumvented my expectations. I'm amazed by it. Like, also, Ruan Tarka, Sean Doyle as Ruan Tarka, what a great addition to the cast that was.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, totally.
Like, he really showed himself off in Expanse as this kind of person who you can understand their motives, but they're still kind of like, you don't trust them entirely. And he's brought that to Tarka, and obviously part of that is the writing, but he plays that well, and you really don't know if he's telling the truth at any time. But he's such a fascinating character to talk about, because even with some of the revelations in this mid-season finale, there's still a lot of people out there being like, is he just saying this to manipulate people? Is this actually true? So he's a very fascinating character, and I'm glad that we have such a character on Discovery.
I want to talk
there may
about
be more twists and turns coming up ahead, which who knows where we're gonna go with Tarka. It's true. I want to believe him, especially with his story about his friend, like, and like they found another universe where things are like better than they are here. It's a touching story, but yeah, there's something suspicious about him.
I want to talk about 2 things. One, Robbie, could I get your opinion on the new uniforms in Discovery Season 4? Because I believe you've probably seen them in promo art. What do you think about those? Let's discuss those.
Absolutely love them. I think a lot of people have been saying that they remind them of the Monster Maroons, understandably. But I think they just suit Discovery so much more, because Discovery, the ship is so, at least the bridge, is so dark. It makes the show so cinematic, because you have those big kind of light frames towards the side of the captain's chair that, Jonathan Frakes, I think he was saying in a recent article that he loves playing with the lighting on the ship, because it's such a big space. He feels so free to kind of control it and direct people there. They didn't really get as much on TNG, but I just love color in Star Trek, and I love that. I think the contrast is just amazing, because I think the grey ones before were maybe a bit too militaristic for my tastes.
Definitely.
I agree with you.
How they changed the uniforms because the costume designers were like, they kind of blend too well into the grid set, so we kind of needed something that did pop and contrast. So it's very good that they had that uniform, but then they were like, okay, let's work on it and make something better. And it's nice that we still do see that uniform, especially at Starfleet headquarters. But with this new uniform, you can also see it as the Federation is now that the burn has been solved, they can now step back into the light. so to speak. So
I like
you
that.
can also view it that way, which I like.
As a, we'll call it, I was gonna say a colourful metaphor. It's not. I guess it kind of is, but it's one way to like analyze that in a sense and connect it, because it's colourful. Because the uniforms are get it. No, I'll show myself.
Right? No, it works.
Somebody appreciates it finally. But no, like
I'll be your Dr. McCoy in the court where the one Klingon laughs. I'll be that.
Hey, how do we watch that movie now? I will say, like, I'm glad they kept Vance's grey uniform because I feel like for the admirals, the grey works very well, and also Vance just looks bloody beautiful. I have to say it. Clip that if you want to.
Especially with all the new not duty uniforms, formal uniforms. Dress uniforms.
Yeah.
I love Burnham's dress uniform. You know, the collar and stuff. I love that one.
Yeah, and
that's my favorite dress uniform, I think, so far. I don't know. I don't know. I have to think about it a little
wild that we basically get 3 separate dress uniforms for officers, captains, and admirals. And that's a lot, but it very much fleshes out the world and is something that makes sense. And you're like, ooh, okay. It's not just like one set uniform.
Archer Space Dock for a second, because when we watched the episode, I think I died there for a second, because they played the music as well. The Archer's theme, we play a version of it at the start.
They should have played Fifth the Heart, but you know.
Yeah, I feel like they would have been off air within a second if they did that. Although it's been a long road, I don't think it would have worked. Well, I want to make a prediction, right? And I'm sure I've said this before, I'll say it again. The introduction of Archer Space Dock signifying the return of the Federation to current affairs, return to shipbuilding. I'm calling it now. They make a new Enterprise by the end of Season 4. Just, you know, I'm just saying it. That's my big Season 4 prediction, new Enterprise, okay?
And that would definitely be nice as like a...
So who's the captain?
Callback to Season 1, being like, meeting the Enterprise, and it's... that would actually be so cool. The only thing is, I can see a lot of people criticizing the design of whatever they make for the Enterprise, but you'd always have that, so yeah.
That's okay. I mean, I actually was like that when the D first appeared. I was like, what is that? That doesn't look like a Starfleet ship, and then I love it now. So I mean, I feel like it's a natural thing. But I will say, you know, Saru, it needs a ship.
Yes.
I would be so cool. It would be so cool if Saru, you know, because if he got the Enterprise at the end of Season 4 or something like that, it'd be neat. Or later on, or something.
Personally, like I would prefer Saru to get the Voyager. J.
Oh yeah, that's right. She's got. They're gonna do the experimental drives on her.
Because the Federation president's looking for candidates for the Pathfinder drive, which also I really love that it's called the Pathfinder drive.
That could be. What I'm saying, to play devil's advocate, that could be installed on a new Enterprise as well. Just saying.
Yeah. But it's also really nice that the Pathfinder project was the thing that was able to make contact with Voyager when it was in the Delta Quadrant.
Yeah, it's a great little reference.
They've got the Pathfinder drive. It's just really nice that it's being installed.
And that they're testing new technology that is about getting, you know, to places faster on a Voyager is pretty cool too. Like as far as like that's neat.
Yeah.
I've seen a few questions in the chat. Was it? Patrick also says, like, let him have a Voyager J. It's who's Captain of Voyager J? That would be interesting. Also, Patrick mentions that Nan is coming back as well. That's one thing from the mid-season trailer. Commander Nan is back. That's going to be interesting.
I do have to say, I really like that she has new implants.
You call that teaser, yeah.
To the breathing apparatus, it makes sense, but also what's really cool is that she has her natural eye colors on the Discovery Bridge, because normally Barzans outside of their environments have like purpley eyes, and that's what we've previously seen Nan with. But when she was on the seed ship, which was Barzan atmosphere, her eyes went brown, and then we see in this trailer that she has brown eyes, so it's very much that the technology of the 32nd century has enabled to get rid of the pesky, cumbersome breathing apparatus, so she just has like 2 implants there. But she has a natural eye color, so it's just really nice that they can be themselves in Federation and the galactic community and not be different because of how they breathe. So it's very nice.
I also feel like it's worth mentioning Kovic as being a much more interesting character. Well, obviously, he was always interesting in Season 3, but now I feel like they're evolving him. Dom, do you remember what he said in the mid-season trailer at the end of it? You raised the line in our breakdown of it. I don't have the script to hand.
Said, oh, why did y'all put me on the spot like that.
I know. Well, I don't really want to open that.
He says like species 10C are beyond what we expected.
Or imagined.
Imagined, yeah.
Something.
He said something like...
I still feel like this character is more than what we're getting. Like, I like my theories running away wild with... I mean, Robbie, you've seen season 3 as well. You've had a bit of an introduction to Kovac. What do you think of him a little bit?
I don't think that you have David Cronenberg on as any old character, and he's definitely not any old character. He's one of the most intriguing aspects of the show for me, and he has such a dry kind of charisma that I just love, and it just works so well with Discovery and him being this mysterious authority figure. We don't even really know his role.
He's a Twitter influencer. That's what he actually is.
It's me if I was in Star Trek. I'm just saying, like, if anyone's played Mass Effect and appreciate the character of the Elusive Man, Kovac and the Elusive Man, basically the same thing in my opinion. If anyone saw that tweet I put it on TC the other day going, Elusive Man, somebody picked up on that reference I made. I was like, wait, hey. Also, season 4 did confirm that Kovac is called Dr. Kovac. I don't believe we got that in season 3.
Yes,
yeah, so we've had more character development with him in season 4.
And he said in the one episode that he has a background in AI and...
His background in everything.
Psychological. Yeah, he has a background in everything.
I made this comment during our review.
He's also like the temporal expert, the expert on the mirror universe. Like he's like, you know,
Temporal Wars. I made this comment. It's like when we have a complicated problem, the writers call on Kovac to be the expert. He's like the local expert for local people,
also,
apparently.
That makes sense as well. That you can make that character and not have to come up with random things. So if you do get stuck, you can just be like, Kovac, help
us, please help us.
I think it's cool that we don't know much about him. I like he's one of the characters where I'm enjoying like unpacking who he is, like what you were saying, like, you know, who is he? Like the more we learn about him, I'm sure eventually down the line, maybe maybe they're saving it for like the last season where they tie up all the knots of the show. But yeah, I enjoyed this character so much. But David Cronenberg, I'm impressed with his acting chops, because I thought like, oh, like
just director.
Yeah, he's just a director, like, and regular, you know, it doesn't always translate to acting, but I really enjoy his like take on the character and like how he delivers his lines. It's very it's not like as like emotional, but it's very like subtle and like interesting. I like it.
I have to say that I really connected to the scene he had with Culber in this season, when, you know, Culber was worried that he was going to fail people because he was working too much, and Kovac just says, "You died, no wonder you're a mess." And I really needed to personally hear that at the time. And I feel like this season has done really well, as it isn't like the COVID season, but it's very much the season for reflecting our time and how we feel. A lot of us are working extremely hard at both ends, and we worry that we're gonna fail people, but it's okay to be a mess, and it's understandable. And coupling that with Tilly's experience of this season, not knowing what her path is, and then you get that wonderful scene with Burnham's mom being like, there's more to the the saying of the Quat Milat of choose to live, and it's your path has come to an end. Choose a different path, choose to live, or die on this path. And having to look inside yourself with absolute candor to understand where you need to go and what path you need to take as a person also really resonated with me. So I, from a more personal point of view, really connected with what this season has had to offer so far, and that just enhanced my enjoyment of the season.
On that note, if I see your resignation letter on my desk tomorrow morning, I'm very pissed off.
No, I'm still on that path, don't worry.
That's a beautiful take, Tom. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I also feel like one thing worth discussing is, this is something that's been brought up quite a lot in the fan community, is Klingons. Lots of people are asking, where are the Klingons in Star Trek Discovery Season 4? Now, my technical views behind this, I think a smart solution is to not bloody show them, because if they did show them and they were changed since how we knew them, it would be season 1 all over again. So I think we're just being smart and not actually showing it. Whereas, where a lore reason, Dom, feel free to fire away, anyone else that's chip in.
Lore reason, I definitely could see them going more towards their monk ways and being more insular and just spiritual. I would like that development of the Klingons, because very much I don't think they can survive as an empire. You see, this has been discussed in Enterprise with J.G. Hertzler's character being like, if Klingons only care about honor, they're going to destroy the empire. We're going to be fractured.
We also get bits of that undiscovered country as well.
We get that in undiscovered country, but also we get that in DS9 as the latest time we have seen the Klingons, with Ezri Dax being like, I feel that the Klingon Empire is in huge denial about itself. They're very traditional as a people, but their actions don't necessarily follow that a lot of the time. So if I was writing, what happened to the Klingons, I would definitely take them in that direction. And obviously people would be upset about that because, they're not the Klingon Empire anymore. They're not warriors. They can still be warriors, but I feel like they do have to change as a society. And I would like to see that. But obviously I don't think I'd like to see that in Discovery, because that's such a interesting idea that I would like it to be developed as the main focus and not just like a side focus. So it would be weird if we just saw, here's the Klingon High Counselor, he's in robes and he's very much like, peace be upon you. That would just be weird, and everyone would be like, that's not a Klingon. But I think that's what happened to them, and it would be nice to see something, but I wouldn't hold out hope to see anything.
Yeah,
I think it's nice to get a break from the Klingons in general, because I love how much you love the Klingons, but I've never really cared for them that deeply. Like I actually, what you said about how you imagine them being, I think that's actually very interesting, and that would make me interested in the Klingons again. But I like having a break from them, but I think it would be funny if the Klingons do appear and no one on Discovery recognizes them. They're like, that's not a Klingon, like, but everyone else is like
to Trials and Tribulations, being like,
right. And but that might be funny, and just as a way of Discovery to like make a joke out of something that was such a big deal.
It would be really nice for the Discovery crew to see either see Klingons in the Federation, like if we just see a random Klingon officer, and being like, okay, and then have to take a step back and be like, you nearly destroyed the Federation and killed so many people I know. And it kind of goes back to what Saru and Book said in the mid-season finale, with Book being like, I have so much anger, I don't want to be like my father, but stuff happens, and Saru being like, the what are the oily people on Saru's home?
The Baul.
And being like, they culled my people. I always hesitate when I see them, but we're so far in the future, I have to be at peace with that, and know that these are not the people who perpetrated the crimes of their grandsires. So yeah. And
he says something really profound too. He's like, instead of like living in that anger, it's okay to be angry about it and to be upset about it, but it takes something. It takes a lot of strength to look beyond that to serve the greater good, which is what the promise he's made, both serving on the council and being a member of the Federation and Starfleet. And so that hopefully that resonates with Book at some point, because right now he's just all about destroying the the DMA, and he's still living in his anger. But yeah.
Whiskey Trek just said, which is a fantasy name by the way, I'd like to see Klingon as a Starship's counselor. That'd be a laugh, wouldn't it? Reply, you shall have your anxiety with honor. Robbie, you were going to say that.
I find the Klingon political structure so fascinating, especially in Redemption, the TNG two-parter. And for as much hate as the Discovery Klingons got in season 1, at least they were trying to add to the lore and to such an iconic species. You know, I don't think we're trying to take it down an interesting kind of road, and you can dislike it as much as you want, but they're trying to do something a bit different that we had seen over so many episodes, and I think that's commendable, to be honest.
Yeah, and the Klingons definitely did get kind of stale in TNG and DS9. But yeah, like what I said, I really like what they did with the Klingons in season 1, because I felt it really connected to what I said previously from Enterprise of, oh, if Klingons just go after glory, they're gonna fracture the house. And then we see in season 1 a fractured Klingon empire, and then it's made back up by L'Rell and becomes what we see in TNG and TOS. But yeah, I would much rather them try and do new things and do interesting things and have something to say about anything, about the current world, about whatever, than just do what we expect, because then we'll just get an Enterprise. And it's just great that we're getting so many different Star Treks in different directions, which are still high quality and enjoyable and have something to say.
This has been an analogy we've used for quite some time now. It's like the modern day Star Trek is almost like a buffet table and such, where there is something for everyone. If you've got young audiences, you can introduce them to the universe through Prodigy, which is doing really well. It's still accessible and enjoyable for those of us who are older, dare I say, which is kind of the truth, really. We are not the target market directly for Star Trek Prodigy. We are not the core market for it. However, there's also like other areas of the Star Trek fandom. Picard is more dark and sort of like personal story, and then also you got Lower Decks, which is light-hearted Star Trek fun in a sense. Strange New Worlds with more of a classic approach, and Monster of the Week in a sense. That would be something. So Star Trek, or modern day Star Trek, particularly the second golden age we're in, has something for everyone. And as Dom just connected up there, that's got how it's being approached to me. I saw one question in the chat, and Patrick answered it as well, about season 5 of Star Trek Discovery. Obviously, usually by now, we sometimes have an announcement of the next season, or at least hints or developments of it. So far, in regards to Discovery season 5, there has been no official comments on it just yet. However, in terms of unofficial stuff, there hasn't been anything on that regards too much, but Jonathan Frakes, who obviously is Jonathan Frakes, did make a comment that he expects he'll be directing something of season 4.
Well, he
season 5.
said that in season 4 he didn't get the opportunity to direct in the AR wall.
AR wall, yeah.
Holodeck they have, basically.
Yeah, the holodeck, I love that.
I look forward to directing it on the AR wall in season 5.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, season 5, wait, what?
Now, we know a lot of the cast have gone home, or whether there's going to be a larger hiatus for season 5. I wouldn't be surprised if there was. One thing I feel like we've learned with current Star Trek, and this opinion some of you guys might share, I feel like we're bottlenecked right now. I'll be honest, from a viewer POV, splitting Prodigy and then splitting Discovery and pushing Picard back is sort of made a mess of a schedule, personally, for me. Like, I'm very busy, I have a lot of media to watch. I obviously watch Star Wars on a weekly basis, I watch The Expanse as well, trying to keep up with what's going on there. The only reason I managed to keep up with Star Trek is because we cover it for Trek Central, therefore I know the dates and everything like that. However, if I was an average fan, I feel like I'd be bloody lost at this rate in time. I feel like they should have just pushed Picard, or whichever one it was, to somewhere else, because one of these shows was meant to launch earlier. I think it was being Prodigy was meant to launch way earlier, but obviously it was delayed, which is no fault of her own. It's just how things go sometimes. The pandemic's delayed massively loads of stuff. However, it's sort of like knocked the entire schedule around, which is a
definitely.
And
I think they really wanted to push out Prodigy, and then they realized that, oh, well, we haven't really finished work on episodes 6 to 10. So they were like, okay, we'll do the first 5, then we'll do Discovery. And then because they brought Discovery back, they were like, oh, we haven't finished editing on the second half of Discovery. Okay, well, we'll put Prodigy then. So hopefully
I'm worried,
it's only the Discovery and Prodigy that has this issue, especially because a lot of these issues stems from the nebulous environment of COVID.
I'm worried it's affecting sort of like the viewing numbers in a sense. Obviously, we don't know the numbers of it. However, I feel like if it confuses viewers, it could affect it, which then spells bad things for the show. I'm sure it's not the case, but as a consumer, but also a big fan of a franchise, someone who wants to see it go on for quite so many years, I worry like if we mess this up now, obviously no one predicted COVID, but it's like it still could have been planned. One of the shows could have been pushed back and just kept in like the bank temporarily. But I get due to marketing, it's not as simple as that. It's just not how things work. It's like, come on, like. Prodigy should not ideally have been split. Discovery should not ideally have been split either, because this is the nature of how things work. Hopefully it's not the case, but they ended Prodigy 5 on a good cliffhanger. Like, it worked well to end it there, but
Yeah,
still,
that's
it's
what I was
like,
trying to say, yeah. And with the mid-season finale for Discovery, it works incredibly well as a cliffhanger.
yeah.
Cliffhanger, yeah.
Because it is a cliffhanger. So they do work, and they were probably intended to be like, okay, this is an episode we can break on.
What we do
but
need to
it
think
does
about
add some confusion.
is while these cliffhangers may be good and stuff like that, and they may be good to cut it off there, the average viewer, okay, so I think all four of the hardcore fans, what most people in the chat are, will remember when it comes out. We've got February 10th ironed and stamped in our brains right now, and probably someone's got it on their wall somewhere, or tattooed on them at this rate. Have the average viewer, which make up the mass numbers, might I add, may not remember that Discovery's back on February 10th. They're like, oh, right, it's back today, cool, I've already missed another episode. That's where like viewing numbers can get a bit affected in my mind, and where it like could damage the show and franchise a little bit, because people are forgetting. Like, it's easy to get in a weekly routine and know when the final episode hits. Like, I know The Expanse next week is the final episode. If they took a mid-season hiatus, unless I was a mega fan, I'd forget. Starfleet, what you was gonna say?
Well, I was just gonna say, a friend of mine who works at for Disney Plus on the tech side who has access to like kind of like some telemetry, was saying that he didn't give anything specific, but he said what they notice is, like, let's say they launch a show premieres on a Wednesday and it's out every Wednesday, they'll always see another uptick on Fridays and Saturdays, and then when the season completes, they see a huge uptick of people who just want to watch the whole season. So there's like, I think there's different like, it probably works the same, but like there's probably different like points where you get like a peak of interest. So I would love to see numbers, but yeah, we don't have access to those.
I don't think with how CBS and Viacom CBS, I don't think we'll ever see those numbers in a sense.
But streaming / on demand is so different, because it is true. I mean, like, I watch things right away when they come out because I gotta know. Like, I don't want to deal with spoilers and stuff like that. But if I didn't have to, I would just like, maybe I would watch it on the weekend, or you know what I mean. Like, so it is interesting. Like, you're right though. It has been a little confusing as far as like what's coming out when and so on. I wish there was a little bit of a more concerted effort to like show a schedule and like, you know, stick to it and stuff like that. Would be cool.
We've got a quick donation from Whiskey Track here, who says, how about a competition of Vulcan martial arts, Suzmahan, and versus Klingon martial arts? Dom, how do you pronounce that word? Mokbara?
Mokbara. Yeah.
Hey, very good, close enough. I feel like we should do a whole episode, Dom, where me and you should start drinking, and then we progressively ask you to pronounce more and more starter terminology as the session goes on.
I was going to go in a different direction and be like, we start drinking and then we try and do.
No, we then kick the shit out of each other. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd win. Just saying.
Actually, when you guys get together in the same place, you should do a battle. It would be fun.
We need to get those bloody weird things from TOS. I'm going to offend TOS fans here. What's that Vulcan thingy that looks like a shovel? Yeah. That one. There you go. Whatever it's called. And beat the shit out of each other with that.
The latest episode of Prodigy. Yeah, that's a good segue.
I suppose we should segue into Prodigy anyway. Obviously, Star Trek Prodigy has returned to our screens. You can watch it on various places around the world right now via Paramount Plus. For a few in the international markets, like some of us, or the majority of people on the stream, good luck. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. However, you head over to Trek Central on Twitter and on our website. We've got a guide on where you can actually watch it if you are in the regions where it's currently available. If not, we do know Paramount Plus is rolling on international markets sometime later this year. Good luck, everybody, until it runs out, or runs in. So, yeah. Anyway, Star Trek Prodigy, Kobayashi. What an interesting and very fan-service episode. If you've not seen it yet, turn away now, by the way. We're going to be discussing it in full detail, so good luck. If you have seen it, start chatting away in the chat. Come on. Dom, take it away.
I guess we can also talk about the rest of Prodigy, because we haven't really talked about that on the live stream. But this episode was an amazing episode, which I won't be embarrassed by saying I actually did cry from hearing some of the people that are speaking in this episode. It was very much a love letter to Trek, and very much, I guess, because when the show first came out, a lot of people were like, oh, this is just Star Wars, this is Rebels, this is and then you have this episode where it's like, oh yeah, Galaxy class bridge, oh yeah, Spock, Uhura, Odo, Gotti, Crusher, was there anyone else? Spock, I said Spock, yeah. David Ruprecht, who voiced the Kobayashi Maru captain, also was back. They were using just their cut audio from their respective shows and films. But it was very much, like I said, love letter to Trek, and introduced to a new audience not only these characters, but the idea of the Kobayashi Maru, which is basically a staple of Trek. anyone can talk. Anyone who's watched Trek knows about the Kobayashi Maru and the no-win scenario.
If you don't now, you know what it is. Also,
but it was such, and not only the like holodeck side of this episode, but the other sides of this episode were especially interesting with regards to Gwendala and the Diviner, finding out her basically origins. But also adding a couple of interesting tidbits about the protostar.
Yeah, speaking about the origin of
interested.
The origin of Gwen. Because every time I hear the Diviner or John Nobunaga, basically every time I hear my progeny. So because obviously I know we've got an editor who works for us at TC, Troy. We've got a running gag in the office a minute was where we just keep hearing like my progeny, or the running gag we've got is the Diviner shouting, "Get me my ship," which is basically shouted around the office. So when we're editing Prodigy, it's a bloody nightmare because that's all we hear. But yeah, the origin of Gwen, that was an interesting one. Like, did not expect that.
Did not expect that, but I mean, also we have to talk. There's so much stuff.
All right, I'm saying it. We have to talk about Chakotay. Yep, let's talk about it. Chakotay is back. Way. Chuckles? What?
Yeah, he's called Chuckles by Q, isn't he?
Oh, I don't know.
Chuckles.
Yeah. Anyway, Chakotay returning. Obviously, it was kind of spoiled us a while back by the man himself, Rob Beltran, that Chakotay would be returning. I mean, whether that was intentional, whether CBS like, oh, for God's sakes. But either way, it was nice to know then. It's nice to actually see it on our screen. He's wearing some sort of new Starfleet uniform, and apparently the protostar ended up back in time. That's another discussion in a second. I'm sure Dom's chomping at a bit. But Chakotay is back. You almost feel like the Janeway hologram gets a little bit emotional there for a second, and I can see the people who are writing the Janeway and Chakotay fan fiction got a little bit too excited at that sign. But either way, I'm keen for it. Robbie, have you watched this episode of Prodigy or any of it? Like, do you have any opinions on Chakotay returning?
Yes, I've watched all of Prodigy and
Fantastic.
I've absolutely loved it. I think it's been really interesting to see these characters who have been faced this adversity to kind of begin to grow under Janeway's mentorship. And I'm not the hugest Voyager fan, I'll admit that, but I've absolutely loved Janeway, and it's wonderful to see Chakotay back. And I feel like I connect more to mystery this season than I usually have with, say, Discovery. Because it's really nice that we see the Diviner in flashbacks, but it's this ongoing presence throughout the season, and we kind of get these wee sneak peeks at him. I think he's been fleshed out as a villain really well, because at first I thought he was a bit cartoony and a bit kind of one-dimensional, but as we go on he's growing more as a character and kind of learning more about him, and it seems like I feel like he's going to have some solid motive for his revenge, even if we don't agree with his actions. And
even if it is revenge, because we don't really know why he wants to protostar, and the more answers we get, the more questions we get. So
well, I mean, one of the big sort of questions was the protostar's computer being locked in the Valkanot language, which is interesting. Wasn't it having blockers installed in it? Dom, I'm pretty sure if you just talk, because I know you wanted to explode over this one.
So we see a really decrepit Diviner in the year 2366, which is 17 years before when Prodigy takes place, which is 2383. And he talks about the Order and going against the Order. He's the last Valkanot, but he still has Dreadnought, his android being, and he begs Dreadnought to create a progeny. And it's apparently that's going against the Order, but we don't know what the Order is, so it's like, okay. And we see him decrepit, but obviously in modern day he's standing tall. He started in a gel tank, but then he got some like interesting armor which looks like it pumps stuff into him. So it adds so much more depth to the character, which I wasn't expecting either. And obviously we've got the fact that he chooses the ship over his own daughter. What does this ship mean to him? And the fact that he says, oh, it was either him or Dreadnought who says, it's been several years, many have failed to find the protostar. So we, I guess, do have a time travel situation.
So what we know on this, I did some reading up on it following the episode review, is it appears obviously the protostar was launched in 2381, I believe, or 2380, sometime around then. Don't quote an exact date. However, it appears Chakotay was the commanding officer of it. It made it to the Delta Quadrant, therefore it hit an anomaly. The ship was boarded. We can presume either the Starfleet crew under Chakotay were captured, or they did evacuate. However, the ship itself appears to have been lost to this anomaly, which looks to be some sort of space-time anomaly, and has taken it all the way back to 2366, is what's implied so far, in a sense, because that is where they're searching for it. Whether it took it back further is unknown as well. I doubt Chakotay's in the past, personally. However, it's evident the ship is buried on Tars Lamora, we presume, in 2366.
So yeah, there is some interesting things about whether a lot of that is like assumption and
of course,
not really said. I think it is interesting that what you say about maybe Chakotay not being in
well, what
the
we know
past.
so far is, according to like what people have gathered from this episode, is that by 2366, it says here the protostar was abandoned and located deep inside Tars Lamora. The Divine spent many years searching for it. In 2383, it was actually discovered by Dal and Ozzy Roktak.
Yeah, and it's definitely, I think we can assume that it's intentional that it's put in Tars Lamora, because it's intentionally put in a place which has a high concentration of chimerium, which can scatter sensors. It's intentionally put in a place you can't easily find it.
I wonder if the Valkanaut is...
gives us motive.
I wonder if the Diviner goes against the wishes of the Valkanaut Order, in a sense. We presume the Order are like, let's just refer to it as like the High Council of the Jedi or whatever. It's what they kind of seem like so far. But it's like, maybe they placed it there, or something like that. I don't know, it just feels odd. Like, it feels like he's going against it.
And
but a kid's show,
sure...
there's a bloody lot to go through, right?
I'm sure they know what they're doing, and we will get answers, and it will make sense.
I hope so.
But it's very, very confusing, but intriguing, and I love that.
Some days, like, I hope TC grows big enough where I can have like a big office, so I'm just gonna have a giant whiteboard and a lot of mind mapping Star Trek lore up on the wall somewhere.
There is one thing I want to just note on, which has been talked about in the chat, which is where the current crew of the protostar are, with people being like, oh, they're in the Gamma Quadrant, and I think it's more that they're going in the direction of the Gamma Quadrant. If we do look at like a map of the galaxy, we do have an idea of where Tars Lamora is. Dal talks about the Window of Dreams, which was mentioned in the 7th season of Voyager. So we know it's around that location, which is the border between the Delta Quadrant and the Beta Quadrant. But if they went 4,000 light years in the direction of the Gamma Quadrant, then they're basically still in the Delta Quadrant, but they're close to the Gamma Quadrant.
On the divide line, essentially, approaching it.
Yeah. So it will definitely be interesting, because also I don't think we really know, like, it'll also be interesting to get Gamma Quadrant content, possibly.
Patrick says something interesting, like maybe he knows the protostar can use to time travel. I'm not too keen on the idea of a ship being able to time travel. I feel it's too early in Starfleet to explore that. Maybe accidentally time travel, this anomaly. If you're using creation of a star, we know that you can use a star to go back in time. What off the use of this drive has managed to, I'll use this for lack of a better phrase, and I'll probably just cock it up somehow, and they've magically gone back in time. Is one of Captain Jack's me using
one
phrases.
thing which I think could be really interesting is if we have, a Back to the Future situation. If you guys,
Chakotay, we gotta go back.
No, it's more that they inadvertently go back, like at the end of Back to the Future 2, when lightning strikes the DeLorean and it accidentally goes back to the Western time, and Doc Brown hides it in a mine, so that someone in the future can pick it up. And I think because they say in this episode that the protostar drive is not working at the minute. They used it and it's just not working. So it could be that when it arrived in the past, they were like, oh, the protostar drive isn't working. It will start to work in 15 years. And then by the time they try and go back, they're like, oh, there's a prison colony here, we can't sneak in. And then the kids steal it, and they're like, they just used.
Just a quick one. Just a quick one, by the way. How many years has it been since Voyager at this point? It's well over 20 now, isn't it?
How many years in
our time, like IRL life, like Voyager in 2001, was it 2002?
In IRL time.
When did Voyager end again?
21. So 21 years.
Okay, so
years.
And obviously it went back in 2366, which then if we as 20 years onto that would be 2386. Obviously the current show takes place in 2383. That means Robert Beltran in now is currently around the same age if Chakotay naturally aged 15 years with him waiting, essentially. Right. That's a little connection there. So like he would sound like he's aged. So if he's stuck in time or stuck back in this all along, if he waited, obviously he'd have to lay low not to run into his past self in a sense.
Yes.
Oh, the joys of time travel. I bloody hate it. It's just so confusing. You see my point now? It's like physically, like Robert Beltran would now almost be the same age, because it was like Voyager was 20-ish years ago. The time jump, say, or time back in time is 15 years, give or take. It's similar ages in a sense. Not exactly, but it's how it is.
So one thing that is interesting is the fact that Chakotay has new uniform, and we see
one we haven't seen before.
Yeah, and also with the tricorders and the phasers, they haven't been seen before. So it could be that those are newer devices, and this is actually post Picard, which makes it even more confusing.
Anybody else significantly confused?
Yeah.
Go on, Robbie.
Of the conflict between Rock Talk and Dal in the episode, when Rock Talk was basically saying that she's kind of scared of the Diviner and she wants to go to the Federation because Janeway's basically sold it to her, and I understand why Janeway is absolutely selling Starfleet in the Federation. With my sister, who isn't a huge Star Trek fan, is loving Prodigy, and I love that she's kind of been taught the ins and outs basically by Janeway, and I like that Dal is just so full of ego, and he's like, no, they're going to imprison us, because he's so used to kind of living in a adversity, basically.
Yeah, that was a good moment. And also I do wonder, I guess we're headed towards the Gamma Quadrant, but I do wonder if at some point they will run into the Alpha Quadrant and visit Earth or something like that. It'll be interesting to see where the show goes, but I am enjoying all that stuff. I hadn't thought too deeply about Chakotay and like where he might be from, but I did speculate that it was sometime around the future, somewhere past at least Lower Decks. It's somewhere around there. But yeah, it is going to be interesting to find out what happens. I don't know if the Protostar can time travel, but I like that idea of the anomaly better that it got, or it accidentally time traveled. So I think that's very cool.
I mean,
now
it is
you
a
guys
prototype,
have me thinking about all this stuff.
It's shaping up to a really cool show. Like, what I appreciate is, although Star Trek Prodigy is targeted towards younger audiences, those of us who, are much more mature Star Trek fans can bloody love the hell out of it. Like, don't get me wrong, some of the kid aspects I don't agree with, that's because I'm a miserable bastard, but at the end of the day, I really like the sort of intriguing story parts. The fact we've got these legacy characters to amplify it and also push it forward. I love it. I love it.
It very much goes to the fact that, the showrunners were very much like, we don't agree with it being called a kid show, kid animated show. It is a show for all the family. Everyone can get something out of it, and that is just a work of art, and they've done an excellent job in making that happen.
It's back to the point now. Patrick raised two good points in the chat. Says, is this a Data's head situation? Obviously, reference to TNG there, but also like he agrees with you. I think Chakotay is from post Picard. That would mention the equipment and stuff like that.
It would also mention the holographic interfaces on the ship.
Yes, and why they look very close to what I See, I said the protostars layout, and you're gonna hate me saying this, the bridge very much reminds me of the Enterprise F with those sort of layouts in a sense, the Odyssey class. Give me an Odyssey at some point. Anyway, sorry, it's first stream of the year.
Ships we want to see.
The first stream of the year, I had to mention the Odyssey. Okay, shoot me later.
Oh my god, yeah. First Odyssey of the year.
We're not fair that long. I had to get one in at least.
Yeah.
She's a gorgeous looking ship.
Oh, just don't get me started. Don't tempt fate. We got another video coming this year on the Enterprise F. I'm gonna write another one.
You're like,
why not?
We're just gonna do it until it happens.
I will milk that subject dry.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I'm just saying,
the
if
design,
season 2 and 3 doesn't give us the F,
the design has always been like, yeah, where is this thing from? Because it doesn't look like this current, where it's supposed to be. And so I've always thought some kind of time travel shenanigans were at play here. I like that, Jack, you're averse to it like Captain Janeway. You're like, oh, this gives me a headache.
In comparison to like Starfleet captains, I guess I'm a bit like Janeway in a sense, where it's like I need like, in my case, I need like Earl Grey as my coffee to sort of like wake me up and keep me going. I wouldn't say I'm very much like Picard. I'm very much like Janeway. I think my command sort of, we're on a tangent here, but I think my command structure, I'd be very much like Janeway. It's like, to get aliens off my ship, I would happily ram Voyager between 2 stars to get some aliens off it. Like, if you're going down, we're taking you with us.
And you'll always have that one ensign you never promote.
Yeah, basically. We have an ensign. Yes, Ensign Hamish on the channel. He's only been on one video and he's banned ever since. Not having him back anytime soon.
But yeah, also talking about the temporal aspect, I guess with the holodeck plot, was when they showed all the comm badges, there was some both future and alternate timeline comm badges there. You had the comm badges from All Good Things, and you also had I think it was Future Imperfect one, the like Delta with the 4 bars. But also
Somebody
the
also
29th century comm badge from Voyager with Captain Braxton. Yes,
Somebody also said that they saw the Delta Alliance Star Trek badge.
No.
I saw a comment about it. I don't know if it was
said that,
Delta Rising, sorry.
I replied to that tweet because no, it's the Bajoran militia comm badge.
Okay.
It's not the Alliance comm badge, no.
Aaron Waltke explained some of the badges as like, especially like the temporal one. Janeway and crew saw those, like Janeway saw them, so there could be records.
Review of it that those people would be put in personal logs and debriefs. When when Picard sees the alternate future, obviously he talks about it, and then I guess you could make a holodeck character of Admiral Riker from All Good Things, or a holodeck person of Captain Braxton, though I would hate to have Captain Braxton on my ship because he sucked.
What is his like EXO called? The other guy on the time ship, that one. Like, he's the other 29th century. Cool. He was like the most. He's straight to the point and an ass, but like he at least came and was like, "Yep, this is what we're going to do, and this is how we're going to do it." I liked him.
Fathery pointed out, he's in the chat, and this is true. The 30th anniversary Delta is also in the mix.
Ooh,
the one they used in all the promos for the 30th anniversary kind of looks like the Discovery, when the Discovery badge kind of.
Oh yeah.
So that's in there as well.
It looks like the visitor badge from Picard as well.
Right. Oh yeah, that's right. Actually, it looks more like that. That's true. I have it.
That's a jump back in time now. I remember when we first got into promos to Picard. Christ, that's 2019. We was racing for that one.
That was a long time. But yeah, the other person on the Relativity was Lieutenant Duquesne.
Ah, him. What a nice name.
Yeah, I would love him on my ship.
Yeah, very fancy name.
It was amazing. But yeah, that's nice.
So guys, do you have any more thoughts on Star Trek Prodigy and where it's going, like, in the next couple episodes? Robbie, what do you think?
I'm just really excited to be on this ride, especially since it's going to be 20 episodes. I mean, amazing to me because we're getting like 10, 13 episode seasons now, and even if they're shorter episodes, I like that we're just going to have this mystery kind of string us along, but also the Diviner is refreshing as a villain to me, because in this TV show format where the villain is been carried along the whole season, and we're getting tidbits almost every episode. It keeps you coming back for more, and then also seeing these characters who not encountered Starfleet are kind of trying to trick Janeway, who we absolutely love. And who knows, maybe Janeway is perfectly aware, and she's kind of hiding that she actually has some kind of thoughts that they might not be Starfleet crew members. Like I love that in Kobayashi, the most recent episode, she was kind of taunting Dal to do the Kobayashi Maru test, because she was like, maybe this game is more for you, the TNG game headset, kind of being a
Which
bit
is a
cheeky
reference
there.
and stuff. Yeah, I agree with you though. This is something I've been talking about since day one of Prodigy. Like, I'm still convinced. I think there is something up to the Janeway hologram. I think she knows more than she's letting on. Later episodes kind of sort of put that interest to bed. However, at the same time, like, I think she's aware they're not actually Starfleet cadets, but it's called like, right, I've got something to do now, in a sense. Like, it's more of an actual aware, not AI, because those are forbidden in the Star Trek universe. Somewhat.
Well, they need to be fully integrated.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Whereas Janeway can only manage low-level systems.
Yeah, exactly. He can't access the protostar drive.
Yes.
And she seems to be able to turn herself on, so I'm wondering, for those 15 years, she might have been just like going crazy a little bit too, and you know, all by herself. But maybe she's been developing more and more of this personality of hers, and like, you know, growing as an AI. But I do think it's really interesting, like when she looked like she was in physical pain when she was trying to remember certain aspects that were blocked or like whatever. And so there's a lot of, the character is very interesting.
Not just a hologram
on her own. Yeah, it's just a hologram. So I'm really excited about where Prodigy's going. I do hope we get a couple of I love that there's this like serialized nature to it, but that they also have a good balance of like, you know, kind of like the planet of the week or whatnot. And I hope we get more like, hey kids, all right, while we're waiting to find out more, and you know, since we're in this direction, let's explore this nebula, or let's explore this planet or moon or whatever. So I'm looking forward to that, because I was really, even though Murder Planet was intense, it was also yeah, wait, that's right, Harry. That's right. Yeah, even though Dom's background, which is about to murder him.
No, he's gone.
There he goes. It murdered him. That was cool, but like I want to see like other, like I want to see them cataloging stuff and like doing science. It'd be really fun to. I hope Prodigy continues to have a balance of that like science education aspect of it, as well as the fun adventure.
I completely agree with you. Like, that sort of science aspect sort of sells the show to young audiences as well, I think, because it's delivering Star Trek's sort of core things, you know, to go out there and peacefully explore, to meet people and know it's not all about like battles and stuff like that, and these sort of mysteries. It's to go out and like peacefully coexist and explore and understand things around you, meet new people for who they are, and like learn about civilization, learn about other cultures and stuff like that. And hopefully it'll show these young characters that's what you can do and such. I'm all cool for that.
Really interesting. I mean, one thing that Patrick mentioned in the chat is, one, we've got 40 episodes of Prodigy.
Yes, which is a lot.
Which is ridiculous. But if I'm correct, we have not seen anything of the next episodes at all.
I don't
the
think we have.
trailer only had up to the first couple of episodes, and then it had the Galaxy Bridge, which they showed in one of the trailers. But apart from that, we have seen everything from the trailer already. So from here, it is a final
new information.
The explanation for it is obviously a lot of it was still being edited at the time. So I expect the reason why we saw the Galaxy stuff is, if I had to make a subtle guess, is likely that was edited a little bit more ahead of everything else because of the inclusion of the legacy cast and also Gates McFadden back for it. They may need to speed that one up a little bit more.
It probably was something which was being worked on alongside the others, because you know, they had to find the right voice lines and they had to make sure that it was like scrubbed of background noise or whatever. And made to work. So yeah, they probably worked a lot on that episode compared to the other ones.
I completely agree. I'm excited for the future of Prodigy though. Like 40 episodes, so we've got a ton more left of season 1 so far. We know they're going for a split episode 10 again, and I think is it returning definitely in 2022? Do we have any confirmation yet?
Late 2022.
Okay, so we presume it'd be sometime in October, November again, because the current Star Trek timeline is obviously, well, it's a bit of a confusing timeline. We obviously have Star Trek Discovery returning on February 10th. That'll run until March, where Star Trek Picard Season 2 should take over. We then presume Star Trek Strange New Worlds, cross fingers, will take over after Picard. Though Lower Deck Season 3 could also fit in there. We don't know just what's happening there just yet. If I had to make a guess, I'd say Lower Deck Season 3 could fit in. But if not, it'll either be Strange New Worlds or Lower Deck Season 3. Those can be switched out depending on premiere dates and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if Strange New Worlds delayed, simply because I expect them to launch that series as the flagship show for Paramount Plus internationally. I think you guys are going to give me Paramount Plus will launch with Captain Pike, Strange New Worlds stood there in the classic uniforms of the classic Enterprise, being the big and bold thing. That's what's going to happen. I'm excited for that. After that, we know, obviously, Prodigy then return, and if there is a Discovery Season 5, that's when it will start taking over. But I don't think we'll see any more Discovery past Season 4 this year, because we know they've not filmed it. So
we do have then Picard Season 3.
Yes, which will be 2023. Yes,
possibly.
No, it will be. I don't see it coming this year.
Okay.
I'll have to be wrong.
Shout out to Techstrek. He did a really cool breakdown speculation of future dates that you could see. I think he tweeted it out and stuff.
Nice.
But it's pretty cool.
We've got a video coming soon on the Trek Central channel called The State of the Star Trek Universe. We do one of these every year, so make sure to tune on that coming later in January once we've got a few cool things out of the way. I'm excited. I'm writing that one as well, so yeah, it's going to be a mess. But
also, while we're just still on Prodigy, someone made mention of the other people who were announced to be in Prodigy.
Yes.
With Biggs as Commander Tyces, Jason Alexander as Dr. Noam, and Jamila Jamil as Ensign Essentia. So thank you, Joachim Slowly, for that.
Ooh, are they meant to be the crew of the Protostar?
I think they are.
We did a video on that. So if you are interested in the
I'll go check it out.
and Chakotay being captain of the Protostar, there's a video on our channel which you can find.
I'm excited for that, to be fair. Like, beating the crew. I wonder if, because I think at the minute we're unlocking sort of records of a Protostar going around. That was obviously the cliffhanger of this episode. The Protostar's last known transmission was unlocked with Chakotay abandoning ship or reporting as being aborted, essentially. I wonder if we'll unlock more sort of logs and stuff like that, because like each of our crew so far seems to be filling sort of a role in a sense. Obviously, Daryl's the captain, therefore he would align with Chakotay. Jack and Pog is a sort of engineer. Perhaps he'll meet the engineer essentially of the ship, and whether they check out older logs of the Protostar. So that could be something of interest there.
Did they say in this episode that it'll take a while to go through all the information?
I think so, but obviously that's at least you could have it by next episode.
But,
so it'll take a while. Here's a cheeky bit. Unless we'll do something where it's like, the next episode spent so much time doing something else, but at the end of it, hey, we've got more data to unlock. Whether they're going to sort of drip feed at us, which I don't mind, but also I get very bored out pretty quickly, so I'm like, give me the interesting stuff now.
Definitely, yeah.
That'd be interesting. Someone in the chat, so Jokins Slow just said, not Chakotay's Protostar crew. I think they maybe sent a search for it. That could be interesting. But also, I don't think they'd have anywhere to search for it currently. Like, it wouldn't be. I doubt we'll see another Starfleet
journey.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's if the current Federation knows it exists.
I wonder what actual. We made a slight theory a while ago. Like, obviously, Chakotay is out there missing, presumably right now. Right? Let's presume he didn't make it back to Federation space. He's trapped in the Delta Quadrant or back in time. We don't know where he is. I wonder if current Janeway, as in the actual one, not the hologram, would have gone looking for him. And I still personally reckon, I think I made this comment in either a review or theory video, I really would not be surprised if episode 10 or halfway through there, we see Voyager show up to aid and stuff like that, and Janeway is like the admiral in command or like taking command of it, and Captain Harrikins, I'm joking, that's too far.
If we're close, if we're where season 7 of Voyager was, next to the Window of Dreams and whatnot, there's a very possibility that if Chakotay did put the Protostar in Tars Lamora, he could have went to Neelix's colony. And hang out there and be like,
we love connectivity.
I need to wait 15 years for my ship to regen.
Yeah.
Can I stay with you and your family? Like, another couch
if Protostar if Protostar is from the time of Picard, it would explain why Janeway hasn't shown up in Picard yet and why she's not a bigger admiral. I would have expected her to be the CNC by now. So maybe she's looking for Chakotay. So yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
It's animation, but they've got a freedom to do stuff like that they want. It's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, totally. The scale, you could go places where, I mean, look at the background. like you can do wild things in animation that you just can't easily do in live action.
Yeah, and for those wondering about the background, it's concept art of Murder Planet by
Larry.
It's Larry, yeah, that's what it's called.
Why is it being called Larry? Have I missed something here?
That's what Rock Talk wanted to
call
right.
to call it.
Actually says the thing with the actual Janeway.
Really great concept art being shared of Prodigy and just stuff they worked on from Ben Hibbon, who's one of the executive producers, and then a bunch of artists just share stuff on like ArtStation and Instagram and stuff. So it's very good because like we see a full render of what the Protostar shuttle looked like because we only saw like a half-made one. So it's
I just put a poll in the YouTube live chat for him. Will the real Captain Janeway, or maybe Admiral Janeway, it should be Admiral Janeway at this point, show up in Star Trek Prodigy? Vote in that poll, and we'll put out the answers later.
Oh.
Nice.
I think everyone's going to say yes. So it's going to be one person say no, but
say yes.
we'll tweet out the answers later and get people involved in this. Well, gentlemen, we are coming towards the end of the stream now. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes, which is a good stream for us. I'm glad you guys turned up today.
Yeah.
Starfleet Boy, Elgo Trekkie, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. The pleasure's mine.
Of course, if you guys would like to tell us a bit about your channels, Starfleet Boy, take it away. Tell us a bit yourself and where people can find you on the good old interwebs as well.
You can find just Google Starfleet Boy and all relevant things will come up. But just real quick, on Thursdays we do a reaction/discussion for whatever the latest and greatest Star Trek is, provided they'll keep launching them on Thursdays. And then Fridays we team up with the Tech Trek channel and do something called TQIF. Thank you, it's Friday. It's a must-see YouTube event. And so we start off on Tech Trek with a discussion and deep dive into the latest Star Trek, and then we do Starfleet Boy After Dark. And we just launched a Sunday series, which is a watch-along of Star Trek Picard, so come and check that out as well. And
of course, Elgo Trekkie, where can we find you as well, and what do you do on your channel?
You can find me at Earl Grey Trekkie on Twitter, mostly talking about Star Trek, and you can find me at Earl Grey Trekkie on YouTube, which we're currently talking about Doctor Who, actually, funnily enough.
Nice.
And you can see me on Starfleet Boys TOS discussions usually.
Fantastic. Well, gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, and hopefully you'll be back very soon. Yes, I hope you all enjoy Star Trek Prodigy as well. It's airing at the minute. Don't forget, everyone, if you do want to watch Star Trek Prodigy, it's currently airing. We'll be back here every week with some weekly live streams now, probably me and Dom, joined by a fantastic array of special guests from the Star Trek community. If there's anybody you want us to have on the stream, feel free to tweet myself, Dom, or the Trek Central account personally, and of course you can comment it on this VOD as well. Don't forget, we're back with our weekly episode reviews every Thursday as well for the current airing series. Obviously, right now, it is Prodigy. So this coming week, we're reviewing episode 7 of Prodigy, which is called First Contact, I believe, is what's the actual episode name is.
Yes. Has that been revealed yet?
Yes, it's on someone's website. I read it off air today. I'm not naming the names. It's not. I've not leaked anything. I read it online. I have receipts. Also, I've not been told either.
It's very interesting that we got Kobayashi in Discovery, and then Kobayashi in Discovery, and then Kobayashi here, and then we had first Contact in Lower Decks, and now we have First Contact. So maybe there'll be a con man who appears, and who might that be? Ooh.
Frankie, putting it now. No. I reckon no. Yeah, I was about to say it's gonna be him. It's gonna be him.
Yeah.
Hey, there we go. Right, that's this week done, everyone. We'll be off. Quickly, Tom, invite me a video on who he is, and we'll get it on Wednesday. Come on, chop. All right, everyone, thank you very much for tuning in to Trek Central Weekly. We're back next week with some special guests announced in the week. In the meantime, I've been Cam Jack. Thank you for watching. I was joined by Dom today, and we'll see you very soon. Goodbye, everybody. You can say bye, guys. Come on.
Oh, bye.
We thought you were just ending.
No, say goodbye.